Hey everybody, welcome to episode 44 of Qore, presented by the PlayStation Network. I'm your host, Jesse Blaze Snyder. This month, the Ultimate Demolition Derby returns, bringing you the wildest ride yet in the new Twisted Metal. The long-running Cars with Guns series rages onto the PS3 for the first time, bringing with it a major new multiplayer pileup. Old favorite Sweet Tooth,
oh, that name,
Dollface, and other twisted characters are back, with all new vendettas to claim. Then, we go hands-on with the slick new PlayStation Vita. The portable powerhouse boasts a big touchscreen, back touchpad, motion sensitivity, 2 cameras, and dual analog sticks. A complete gaming experience in the palm of your hand. And we're gonna show it to you. And for all you powder hounds out there, get ready to grab your board and shred down the world's 9 deadliest peaks in SSX. Creative director Todd Batty guides us to the freshest powder.
It's endless fun trying to find the fastest line through there.
You'll race, do sick tricks, and just try to stay alive. Also this month, we level up with the action RPG Kingdoms of Amalur: Reckoning, the all-new fantasy title from Big Huge Games.
And all of this stuff that you would see in a spectacle fighter like a God of War is in our game.
Watch out for that Baylor. Did you know Tiffany was a Jedi? Let's see if she's got control of those mind tricks in this month's Blu-ray Spotlight.
Thanks, Jesse. We're here at Lucasfilm to honor the holy grail of sci-fi cinema. Star Wars: The Complete Saga is finally making its high-def debut on Blu-ray.
well you have, my old Padawan.
All this and more on episode 44 of Qore, presented by the PlayStation Network. I'll see you on the inside. Put a mass supermodel, a flambéed clown, and other shady characters behind the wheel, and bad things will happen. Load up those vehicles with all kinds of weaponry, and it's downright explosive. It's the ultimate destruction derby. And it all ends in Twisted Metal. The single-player campaign follows the usual suspects of the franchise, telling each twisted tale through some gnarly live-action cutscenes. Be warned, this game is not for the faint of heart.
They were my first murders.
No Twisted Metal title would be complete without its ice cream-obsessed poster boy, Sweet Tooth.
Oh, that name.
Learn disturbing news stories about our lovable clown's origins. Juggalos, contain yourselves. Dollface's new backstory makes her a beauty-obsessed model who loses her looks in a heinous car wreck. Ugh, is there a dermatologist in the house? Mr. Grimm's now a motorbike-riding stuntman with daddy issues. And finally, Preacher from Twisted Metal Black is back on a mission to bring down Calypso, longtime tournament overlord, and his empire of sin.
I know who you are! You are the beast!
Like in prior games, Twisted Metal is all about road raging action. Choose between about a dozen vehicles, each with different strengths, weaknesses, and kick-ass arsenals. Cars, trucks, some random wheel thing. Even fly a helicopter in certain game modes. Here are a few favorites. As expected, Sweet Tooth's ice cream truck is badder than ever and has a fun new clown bobblehead you can launch and regenerate. But there's more than meets the eye here, kids. Go Robo Clown, transforming into an armored angel of death. And for all you road hogs, it's the Juggernaut. A giant semi that lets you slide mines out from your sides. Plus, use the trailer to invite up to 2 teammates on board. Because teamwork makes the dream work. Kamikaze is the speed demon of the lot. and special attack options like flamethrower and shock freeze give it some serious stank. Some events put you in a confined space. Fire rockets, throw bombs, smash the crap out of opponents, and deliver the pain to be the last one alive. Other events start with a race, but end with a bang. Only the winning vehicle avoids detonation, and it always helps to thin the pack by fighting between checkpoints. Whatever your game configuration, you'll tear down environments throughout battles, leaving only heaps of rubble and smoldering wreckage. The huge scale of destruction is one of the highlights. With all of these layers on top of the vehicles, Twisted Metal is an action fighting shooter, even more than it is a driving game. The wild special attacks include transforming, catapulting cars, flinging chainsaws, and more.
Calypso! Calypso! What the hell is this?
We had fun in all the solo rounds. You'll try different game modes and take on massive bosses over the story. For group fun, multiplayer excels. You just can't beat shooting and crashing into friends. Each of the 7 multiplayer game modes has its own style. In Team Last Man Standing, for example, your whole team gets a shared pool of respawns. Try to deplete the other team before running out of yours.
Your team won the battle.
And Nuke is an elaborate Twisted Metal take on Capture the Flag, where you abduct and eventually sacrifice an enemy faction leader. Launch the leader into the opponent's statue to win. Boom!
You have destroyed the enemy statue.
Multiplayer matches have tons of variables you can tweak. Do you want the health semi in the match? Yes, please. What about the awesome Juggernaut cab and trailer? Sweet! You can go online with 16 players, including 2 people on a single PS3. Rank up in matches and even custom paint your car so everyone sees you coming and learns to fear you. Or throw elbows on the same couch in 4-player offline split screen.
This time, I'm going to make her bleed.
This is the ultimate version of Twisted Metal, the one its developers always wanted to make. And now, with the PS3 as their vehicle, it's here. With all the great heat-packing vehicles, inventive multiplayer modes, and a ravenous appetite for destruction, this Twisted Metal cranks it up to 11. Lock it.
When you believe in your dream, there's always a way to the top.
Hey everyone, Jesse here, and today we have exclusive access to one very special device, the PlayStation Vita. Here we go. Let's start with the specs. You've got a 5-inch OLED. This screen's huge. The speedy ARM CPU has 4 cores, and the powerful GPU packs in 128 megabytes of video RAM. And the whole system uses 512 megabytes of RAM, which is a lot. This means great-looking games that we've never seen before on a handheld device. Take Uncharted Golden Abyss, a PS3 quality game on a portable system. PlayStation Vita dual analog sticks perfectly match a shooter like Uncharted. Buttons feel crisp, and they're just the start of all the input possibilities. How about multi-touch? Uncharted lets you scamper along ledges and stealthily take out an enemy with your very own golden touch. Little Deviants takes the flip side with a multi-touch pad on the back of the system. You'll raise hills by touching behind the screen and control innovative gameplay. Ever think of a camera as an input device? You will. It's got one on the front and one on the back. The camera can see at 60 or 120 frames per second, creating a smooth basis for augmented reality. Some games can use the camera to merge reality with the virtual world in real time. Just point the Vita at a nearby surface and your virtual characters will interact with your own environment. Wherever you are, you can use the Party app to voice and text chat with friends across different games on the fly. Some games even let you battle with friends on their PS3s, like Wipeout, where you can play a live multiplayer between the PS Vita version and PS3 version while out and about on Wi-Fi or relaxing at home on your PS3. Motion sensitivity adds yet another input to the PS Vita. It's got a 3-axis gyroscope, accelerometer, and electronic compass. However you tilt or twist, games can respond, like Hot Shots Golf. You can explore the course with the Vita as basically a virtual viewfinder, find the hole, and swing. And the PS Vita is more than just a gaming machine. You can download 4 social networking apps initially: Facebook, Skype, Twitter, and Foursquare. And we expect more non-gaming tools and toys to come out soon. Whether you plug in headphones or listen from the built-in stereo speakers, media playback is great. You can buy or rent movies and get music from the PS Store. Or connect the Vita to your PC or Mac and add your own files. You may not be able to take your PS3 with you on a plane or on a train or to work with you, but you can take a PS Vita, and you're going to want to. I can keep this, right?
Extreme. Shredding the gnar. Sick, bro. Right. Okay, yeah. But just once in a while, those words have meaning again. What a rush. Leap out of a helicopter and snowboard down a mountain? That's gotta be the gold standard for extreme. Whatever you call it, the name of the game is SSX. Creative director Todd Batty led us through the backcountry.
Race It and Trick It are very fundamental building blocks. That's what SSX has always been about. You can do race events, or you can do slope style events where you would, compete for trick and style points. Survive It sort of branches us into some new territory for SSX. Racing is really about hitting extreme speeds. We wanted to kind of deliver a burnout on snow feeling and trying to find the fastest line down huge open mountains with just so many different paths that you can go down: shortcuts, long cuts, dangerous paths, safer paths, and it's endless fun trying to find the fastest fastest line through there. Trick It, you know, tricking is about style and flow, you know, self-expression. We really wanted to bring that, you know, gaming back to its roots with, you know, SSX and old school Tony Hawk and that kind of controller passing. I can get a longer and bigger combo than you can get.
And Survive It lives up to its name, just challenging you to conquer the mountain in all kinds of chaos. Whatever game type, SSX is about great stunts.
We have literally hundreds of combinations of different tricks that you can do. We have a trick system that's actually really intuitive and easy to use. You can use either the right analog stick or you can use a combination of buttons. You can select to use your left hand, your right hand, or both hands. From there, you can grab any spot on your board, so you can grab your left hand between your legs and grab the board on the right side, and then you can kick your feet out of your bindings, 1 foot out of your bindings, 2 feet out of your bindings, and the whole goal, you know, particularly in what we call tricky, which is the state you get into so that you can do what we call uber tricks, which has been a big staple of SSX. When you get into that state, all of the tricks that you can do get replaced with bigger and more extreme tricks.
SSX has always put those stunts first, but there's a light story to lead you through the game.
We came up with the idea of Team SSX, a bunch of the old SSX riders, and some new characters that we introduced into the universe, sort of going around the globe and conquering what we call the 9 deadly descents. 9 deadly descents around 9 of the most iconic mountains in the world, each one themed off of a unique environmental challenge. You know, it's rock, thin air, gravity, ice, wind, cold, etc., etc., and they provide some really interesting experiences. We wanted to follow the same formula that SSX has always followed, which was to bring back some returning characters. We originally made the call. First one was Elise. Elise Riggs has sort of been the cover girl from SSX. And then when we were trying to decide what other characters we would use to sort of fill out the roster, we just said, you know what? Why don't we just ask our fans what they want? Qore, Moby, Zoe. Zoe becomes one of the anchors of the entire game. Mac Fraser, obviously a fan favorite. Simon. And each character is, you know, very different in their own personalities. They approach riding differently, and they all have sort of some unique skills and unique gear that goes with them through the game. You know, an example would be Elise got the wingsuit. So wingsuit was the coolest feature we added into SSX. You could fly. It's so fundamental to gameplay. You can access new areas of the level. You can control your speed when you jump from 500-foot cliffs. And then every character got something different. So, you know, Qore, for example, rewrote some of her backstory to say that she did a lot of high altitude riding, and so she gets an oxygen tank that allows her to stay at high altitude for longer than other riders, so that becomes her specialty, and we just sort of moved our way through the roster like that. If you look at online gaming today, it's really hard. People are busy, and it's really hard to go onto a lobby and find your friends and have everybody online at the same time playing the game. So we took it a step further, and we said, well, what would be really cool is if you go down the mountain and you do a really epic run, a really fast run, or a really big trick run, whatever it might be, let's store all of that data, and then when my friend comes online to try to beat my record, we represent that data as a ghost in the world, and he'll actually go down the line and do all the tricks and do everything. It's literally a mirrored representation of the run that you have just done with the character and with the gear and everything else. And so you get this sense of live competing against your friends all the time, but you don't have to wait for all of your friends to be there at the same time. So in SSX, if you can see it, you can ride it. If you can see it, you can jump off of it, you can trick it, and if it has any kind of a sharp edge at all, you can grind it. And it really sets up this just playground feeling to all of our levels, where the combinations that you can put together are pretty endless. NASA did a study. They actually, over the course of many years, mapped out 99% of the Earth's surface, and then they released the data into the public domain, and so we took it. We got to a point where we could type in the latitude and longitude coordinates of any mountain on Earth, and in about 28 seconds generate a three-dimensional model of that mountain accurate to NASA satellite data levels and all of the surrounding mountains, and everything just kind of ballooned from there. The data we get back from NASA is a wonderful starting place from us, but then we spend, an exorbitant amount of time with our level designers and world builders just shaping all the terrain and creating, all the types of environments and over-the-top gameplay that, is expected out of an SSX title.
How can an all-new RPG ever compete with heavyweights into their 3rd, 5th, or even 14th versions? First-rate action on top of a vast role-playing universe? That's a good start. Is Kingdoms of Amalur: Reckoning destined to become as big as the others? With moves like this, it's got a fighting chance. We visited Big Huge Games and spoke with developers Will Miller and Tim Coman to get the inside info on the gigantic RPG.
Qore Sonera Alpha!
Where do we start in the game? Well, the game begins in a really interesting way. Your character has been killed, and you wake up in this pile of bodies. There's this thing called the Well of Souls, and it's a giant machine built by Femoris Hughes, who's a gnome, and it has successfully resurrected you from the dead.
Fascinating. Simply astounding.
The main quest is all about you figuring out who you used to be and what the implications of you being brought back to life are.
What are you doing down here? You don't belong. Wait a moment. No.
You start off in a forest area, and basically it's a huge zone, and inside that zone we actually have a lot of variations. There's other zones that are like the plains, so there's like kind of wide open plains. And you get some really beautiful vista moments in there. There's a Datir, which is kind of like a Red Rocks desert-style environment, as well as we've got Alabaster. It's kind of like a ruined area, but there's these huge crystalline structures.
How do you increase the color palette and make it really vibrant, but not move over to the camp side of things?
For us, color was one of those key discussions that took place pretty early on. It's like if we bring in like a colored fog, for example, it's a more magical area of the game. So we're using it very, very purposefully. If you look at the city of Issa as a great example, what they do is that they grow everything. Their furniture, their buildings are all grown naturally. And so what we wanted to do is make their city feel like it was grown organically, but we really wanted to bring a color palette into that. It's very rich and very lush.
What makes your game unique?
Everything in Amalur, in Reckoning, has a purpose. So if you see a statue in the middle of the world, or you go into some dungeon that's ruins or something like that, all of that has a history. We want RPG players to be comfortable, but we also want to challenge some of the things that they're used to. So a classic example of that is the way you select a class in the beginning of a traditional RPG. We kind of threw that out, but that's where the destiny system comes in. So if you decide in the middle of the game, I'm tired of being a rogue, I want to be a fighter, I want to be a fighter mage, you can swap out those destinies, no penalty to you. And these perks, these buffs, the destinies and the twists they're numerical buffs, but they also give you actual sort of moment-to-moment changes in your gameplay. The best example I can think of is Blink. So if you have any kind of sorcery destiny mix, your standard dodge roll is replaced by a teleport. And at the highest levels of that, you teleport through enemies and it'll deal some kind of damage over time effect, ice or poison. So eventually you'll get things like smoke bomb or traps or various things that you can use to trick enemies or to lure them.
What kind of weapons will be available to the player in the game? Anything new and inventive?
So there are 9 weapon types. I mean, you have your standard sword, a short sword, a broadsword, bow, and these giant hammers that you can use. They're very slow, but they do a lot of damage, and there's some really cool combos you can get with those. You also have these things called Fey Blades, which are very fast, high damage per second weapons. They kind of look like those Klingon things, you know, except you got...
Oh, Bathless.
That's it, you got it. So they look kind of like that. And then you have the Chakram. They look like two frisbees that you can throw and they'll come back to you. And so it's great for range, combat, crowd control kinds of stuff. And all of this stuff that you would see in a spectacle fighter like a God of War is in our game, and in a really cool way. But make no mistake, I mean, this is a huge open world RPG, and so it's best of both worlds.
Who's your favorite monster?
Ooh, I really like the Baylor. Do I have the... Yes, this guy. He's this big Nisgaru. It's a giant sort of embodiment of chaos. He's got a guy that rides him, and you have to sort of battle him a couple times while you're climbing a castle. It's a very, very climactic part of our game.
One creature in particular I really like is the Bolgan, and basically they're human-sized, but they're like fallen kings. And so the idea is that they have these huge swords and these giant adornments on them, and you look at it and it's a really distinctive style.
Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning could become an RPG mainstay. These guys are scrutinizing every detail and trying to make a game that they'll love to play. It's got a deep role-playing style with some new twists and combat worthy of an action game. We reckon fans of either genre should join the quest.
certainly we have a lot of visionaries that are connected to the project. We've got Ken Ralston and R.A. Salvatore and Todd McFarlane, and they all bring something to that. They're all, like R.A., for example, developed 10,000 years of lore and history that we can dive into, and it's amazing to be able to tear through all that material and say, okay, here's some great backstory for these things. The visionaries connected to the project don't come in and demand that it's going to be one way or the other. They approach it more like a mentor, and so what they say is, well, based off of our past experience, like Ken Ralston, for example, like he's been doing RPG titles since the pen and paper days, and so it's an amazing resource to be able to talk to him. And Todd's actually brings a different energy to it. He's, you know, comes from more of an outside perspective where he's looking at things and he doesn't accept the conventions. If you tell Todd, like, nah, we shouldn't do it this way, you know, his eyes go red. He'll be like, no way, okay, now we're on to something. If it's hard, we should do it, because that means maybe other people aren't. One of the things we dove into is, what is this city about? You know, what is the race that primarily lives here? What's important to them? Are they a merchant city? Are they more of a city where it's a city of knowledge? What specific goal was intended for the individual cities that were created? One of the things we really focused on was trying to build non-combat animations for creatures and individual people. Like, there's a traveler's camp and there's people dancing, you know, around someone playing an instrument. There's all these individual bits that we bring up from the characters so it doesn't feel like they're just standing around like robots waiting for you to come and interact with them.
Get ready, laser brains. We are here at Lucasfilm to honor the holy grail of sci-fi cinema. Star Wars: The Complete Saga is finally making its high-def debut on Blu-ray, and it's gonna blow more minds than the planet Alderaan.
I mean, assuming you're not one of those people who takes more pleasure in slinging crap at George Lucas and his meticulous revisions than actually watching Star Wars. Full disclosure, these discs do not contain the 97 special editions. These are the 2011 specialer editions. So let's take a moment to acknowledge the bantha in the room. Okay, brace yourselves. Greedo still shoots first. Ewoks now blink. Obi-Wan's yell sounds a tad different. And Darth Vader gets a brand new...
Okay, well, now that we've gotten all those ultra nerdy notes out of the way, let's talk about the important stuff. Like the fact that Star Wars has never ever looked or sounded better.
For the first time in history, you're getting some of the greatest movies ever made in full-blown 1080p and lossless 6.1 surround sound audio with added THX stank. And for you purists out there, not all of the changes are a bad thing. For instance, the newly added computer-generated Yoda in Phantom Menace looks far more like the badass space ninja he becomes in Attack of the Clones.
What will you have, my old Padawan?
And the only thing better than how well the digitally shot prequel trilogy takes to the Blu-ray format is just how dreamy a 30 years younger Harrison Ford looks in high def. Meow.
Nice, man. Very nice.
For most Star Wars fans, this wonderfully pristine audio-video transfer is all you'll ever need.
A Jedi craves not these things.
But it's light years beyond worth noting that almost all of the bonus features are new and exclusive to the Complete Saga set. Ever seen a Wampa tear through the Rebel base on Hoth before? Or Luke hanging out with his buddies at Tashi Station?
Hey, come on, shape it up, you guys!
Me neither, but you will in over an hour's worth of deleted scenes, some of which have miraculously gone decades without ever seeing the light of day.
Instead of a big dark flare, I see a big light flare.
It kind of makes you wonder how much of this awesome stuff is George sitting on.
Both trilogies can be purchased separately, but if you want the several dozen commentaries,
By the time we got home, it was just...
along with the several dozen hours of geek-tastic special features,
He was an ex-bounty hunter, so it added a little grit to it.
including tons of never-before-seen footage, a tour through the Lucas archives, interactive models, and hundreds of pieces of concept art, all unspooled chronologically by in-film location, you're really gonna want to lose yourself in the whole 9-disc shebang.
It is your
destiny.
Can you think of a better way to kick off 2012? Because we can't. I'm Tiffany, and don't be a nerf herder. Catch us again next month for another Out of This World Blu-ray pick. Bring it. Bye.